This is a crazy, crazy, crazy amount of foam. Like crazy. Look at this. Look at this. This is a brand new auto dilution foam cannon available on Amazon, and I'm really excited to check this thing out because it has some pretty cool features that I haven't seen on others. As you may have seen on Amazon, there's a bunch of things kind of similar to this. A lot of them are gravity feed though, where you have to run it like this. The solution draws down and blows off the front. This one, however, does have a pickup tube and you're able to use it like a normal foam cannon. So let's go ahead and unbox this thing. We're going to talk about all the features. And one of the biggest things that I noted is that like the box, all the directions, all that kind of stuff is not in English. It's either Chinese or I don't know, Chinese or Korean or something. So hopefully this video will help you explain everything you need to know about this unit. Now, one of the interesting things about this item is the listing on Amazon name is nothing than what I'm seeing on here. This says Ann Riddle, seems to be the actual brand. It's not what it shows on Amazon. I will link this down in the description though so you can find it. But it's called the P5 Magnetic PA Pot. And one of the things that's really interesting to me about this one is all the included accessories and a little bit different design than other little non-diluted foam cannons are coming with. Now, obviously there's a bunch on the market ranging from like $12 up to 25 bucks. This one is on the higher end. It actually lists as like 40 bucks and then they have it on sale down to 25 bucks. But let's go ahead and pop this thing open. Full transparency. I did look at this as soon as it arrived last night. I just wanted to get a good view of what this thing was. So it was wrapped up a little bit nicer. I just removed all the bagging and here we are. So right up front, you get the head of the unit. And I actually like it. It looks like a really nice quality. I don't think it's stainless steel. You can see brass inside here. So I think it's just electro plated with chrome, I believe. Doesn't look to be nickel plated. So I think it's a chrome plating on it, but I'm not 100% sure about that. You do have a nice quick connect that you're able to remove off the back. Really, really similar to like my Quivr foam cannon. Build quality seems nice on this. You can see the orifice inside there is brass. When we look at the nozzle portion of this, again, you get all the features that you want. You get the, obviously, foam adjustment on top here. You get the fact where you can open and close this and you'll see the prongs open and close. So that's going to change your fan pattern from 0 to 60 degrees or so. And then if you grab onto the black piece here and you turn, it turns it from vertical to horizontal and all around. So you get all the features that you want. Now, one of the coolest things about this is the magnetic connection point, which is here. Really, really interesting though is if you look at this, I don't know if you guys can see, you can see all the grain in it. It's 3D printed. Now longevity, when we talk about 3D printing, there's different materials that you can use. PLA is like a standard generic type of material, but it doesn't have the best heat resistance. It can warp and things like that. Now, is it that, or is it, you can use ABS and all that stuff, which would be much more resistant to all of that. I don't know what material this is, just to be perfectly fair and honest with you guys. If you look at this though, you see this little brass nipple here. That is also a metering tip. So meaning, because you don't have to dilute the product going into the canister, they actually give you different metering tips, which we'll talk about here in a second, that will kind of determine how fast the material is going to get sucked through and used. Now that's important because especially when you're using either high alkaline or low alkaline soaps, you want it's something called panel impact ratio. It's the amount of fluid actually going through the whole dilution and actually hitting the paint of your the paintwork on your vehicle. Now, in today's video, we're going to be using my Quivr Rogue soap, and that is pH neutral, so it's not quite as important, but still something to keep in mind. What we're going to be looking at is the draw speed of this and how fast we go through the product. Now, again, we're going to get into the rest of the accessories that this comes with, but I just want to show you something real quick. You have this little rubberized band on here that says Ann Riddle, right, which was the brand, I guess. You can screw this off, though, okay? Now we can see the whole structure of this foam cannon. So again, the metering tip is here that you can back off. It is labeled, which is nice as well. This one shows 0.35. So that's I don't know what the other ones are at. We'll find out in a second here. But if you look into the top, there's your magnet, okay? So you can see it there. And it's really cool because if you don't want to run the magnet, they actually give you an alternative for that also, which we'll touch on in here in a second. Okay, so moving on from there, we're going to go ahead and just pull out everything that we can. All right, so here is the standard bottle. This is the bottle that magnets right onto the unit. Boom, and you're good to go. Really nice, feels like a nice strong magnet. Now I haven't filled anything up in here, but it feels to be nice and strong. You can see this wide base. Again, 3D printed. So I don't know if you can see the texture on this, and then the bottom, you can see the texture from the plating of the 3D printer. Interesting to me, but the good thing is it does stand up on its own. So it's nice. The other nice feature about the bottle is you can see this wide base and you can hear something, right? But if we just screw this off, this is where your storage is for the other metering tips. So I think that's a cool feature too. It's again, this whole bottom piece is 3D printed as well. But you can see there are different metering tips and then also little O-rings in there in case you need those. Let's go ahead and pour this out really quickly and look at the other size metering tips that it comes with. If you remember well, the one that's installed in this already is a 0.35. Here we have a 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. Now I'm assuming that's gonna be similar to the orifice size, just the larger the number, the slightly larger the hole, and the faster it's gonna draw material out of the canister. But don't worry, we will test that. I'll run a timer to see exactly how long it takes to deplete it. All right, now because we're talking about the orifice size of that pickup, let's go ahead and talk about the orifice size of the foam cannon itself, right? That was the piece that was behind the Quick Connect. And why is that important? It's very, very important because depending on what pressure washer you're using, sometimes pressure washers require a larger orifice in their nozzle, otherwise it'll overamp. So if you overamp, then you can cause issues tripping your breaker or potentially creating unnecessary wear and tear on your pressure washer. Now, interestingly enough, the one that comes installed, like I said, is brass. The additional ones, they actually give you 3 others, are all stainless steel. So that's, you know, I don't know. I don't have any preference really of brass over stainless steel on those. So not a big deal. But the one inside is not stamped, so I don't know what size that is. And these ones are stamped, so at least we have some kind of an idea of where we're at. So we've got a 1.1, and that's usually good for like your Ryobi 1800s and things like that. They use a really small orifice, and that would be the way to get the most amount of foam, the 1.1 there. Then we also have a 1.3 and a 1.4. So even if you're running like, I think it's the active 2.3, they require a 1.45 maybe, something like that. So they give you options that should be able to get you covered no matter what. I'm assuming because we have a 1.1, 1.3, and a 1.4, I'm assuming the one installed here is typically pretty standard for foam cannons to come with a 1.25. So I'm assuming that's what it is, but again, I'm not 100% sure. However, I'm going to be running this whole test on my Quivr pressure washer that I've been building out. Again, I have the pretty much naked unit over there with capacitors and stuff hanging off of it, but that's what I'm gonna be using. I'm actually going to run the 1.3 orifice in this. This is one thing, guys, once you know what size you need, whatever pressure washer you're using, you should only have to change this once and then you're good to go. The metering tips could be different depending on, again, the draw speed that you want of your soap. Now, just a really quick tutorial on how to remove your orifice. If you look in there, hopefully it's in focus, you can see a little slot on it, and you just take a flathead screwdriver, twist it out of there. Super, super easy. Okay, that one is out. I'm just trying to see if there's any markings on it at all anywhere. There are not. So again, I'm assuming it's a 1.2 or 1.25. And then I'm gonna go ahead and take my one that I wanna be using, the 1.3, and I'm going to go ahead and just drop it back in. Make sure it lines up because you don't want to cross thread it, right? And then simply just tighten it back down. Super, super easy. All right, now the next piece that we have is this nice little silicone tube, right? So this is going to be your pickup. Some of these things operate like this. Some of the other ones you may see on Amazon run like this, and it just gravity feeds down and then goes out. This one, again, because of all the metering tips, is going to be a normal setup where it's actually going to draw out of the tube. And they give you this nice silicone tube, right? Nice flexible, and then they give you this really nice stainless steel weighted ball filter. So I like that a lot. So we're gonna go ahead and this just goes straight over the nipple. Okay, there we go. Now again, we're gonna have to change this out multiple times to test the different draw speeds of the different sizes, but I'm just trying to give you a quick overview of this unit. So there we have it, right? Now we're gonna go ahead and install this. You know what? It's still really nice, I have to say. But because you have to go through this thing and then it's at the end and then push it up for it to magnetize, when the straw wasn't on there, it was like, boom, it was really cool. This is still great, it's just, you feel it a little bit more than I would like to. Now, as I mentioned before, if you don't want to use the magnetic piece, they actually give you a secondary bottle. That is right here. And the connection to this, also, I don't know if you can tell, also 3D printed. But I think they're the same amount of solution as well, the same capacity. This one's just longer and narrower. This one's a little fatter and shorter, but should be the same amount of product. But what we have to do in order to use this is we have to take the magnetic top, screw that back off, and we can do this all with the straw still in place. Screw that off, and then this one will go on, and you can spin it on. Now, here's a big thing that I am not liking. This is, yeah, I'm not liking this at all. You would need to trim the straw, because as you twist this on, look into this thing. The straw is completely twisted up and even kinked in areas. So that's definitely gonna affect the draw speed. So we're not gonna be using this one, but I think it's cool that they give you this too. And if you wanted to run this, you would just take this off, right? Measure it out, cut it to size, and then you're not gonna have any of that issue, just so you know. But for our purposes, I wanna use this magnetic end. I think it's cool. I wanna try this out. So that's what we're gonna do. So with that said, let's go ahead and start testing this thing. We're gonna switch over. Again, the one that's the little pickup orifice that's installed is a I can't remember, 1.25 I think it was. Oh, it was way off, 0.35, way off. So what we're gonna do is take this out. We're gonna switch over to the smallest one, test it, see how long it takes to draw the material out of it, of the soap, and then we'll go to the next size, so we can really test it and see exactly what the differences are between these sizes. Now, in order to do that, I again took the magnetic piece off. We have clear access to this piece, and you can literally just back it out. Whoops, try not to drop it if you can. But again, it's even like if it was really tight, they do give you a nice, like you can definitely fit a wrench on that, so that's nice. If you look at the piece here, the O-ring sits right there to seal everything up. So again, they give you the additional O-rings as well. You just have to fit them onto the piece. So we're gonna open this back up, pour these guys out, and get them all prepped. All right, guys, now one other thing that I wanna do real quick is just go ahead and open this thing up and see what kind of filter it has in it for the foam production. From my experience, the MJJCs, my Quivr foam cannon, the ones that have the 3-piece filter, which goes steel mesh, foam mesh, steel mesh, get the most amount of foam. So I wanna see what this comes with. And this is just your standard block style, not the 3-piece, as you can see here. Okay, and now we're gonna go ahead and fill our solution little canister here. Again, I'm using my Quivr Rogue foaming soap. This is pH neutral, and I think this one's a really good one to test because these little nozzles are very, very small, right? And Quivr Rogue is nice and runny, but there is some viscosity to it. It's not a complete just watery style soap. It's not super thick either, so I think it's a nice, you know, you can see it just moving around there pretty freely. So I think it's a good way to test and get an accurate representation to see if it'll work for all soaps. Take the solution, drop the filter in first, and then boom. Magnetizes right on. It actually feels really, really solid. Yeah, we're good to go. Let's go test. All right, guys, now I want to be very clear about something, and I am still a traditional foam cannon guy. Again, this is my Quivr foam cannon. I absolutely love this thing. I've never gone to the small style, the auto dilution ones, because they've been missing features that I think are important. Like this one has, the auto dilution where you can change it out. I think it's very important. Not everyone's gonna have the same need depending on the pressure washer, depending on the soap, all that kind of stuff. So the fact that they give you this is becoming a much more viable option in my opinion. All right, so I've got my pressure washer all set up. Let me go ahead and grab the little pressure foam cannon deal. Again, we're just gonna go ahead and pop it in. And I'm going to go ahead and grab, I mean, it is very lightweight. This is nice because you don't have to dilute. So you don't have to have a full 1 liter bottle. It's just, I don't know how many ounces this is. It's not many. I will measure that here in a little bit as well, just to make sure. But what I'm gonna do is I have a stopwatch set up. I'm gonna pull the trigger and I'm gonna let it go until it completely runs out and we'll stop the stopwatch. I'm gonna leave this all the way pegged all the way down. That'll give us the most foam production. So let's do this. I've got my big red farm truck here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pull the trigger and start the timer at the same time, and here we go. There we go. All right, guys. Gonna have to start that over because the pressure washer is not liking this orifice. I'm gonna go grab the 1.4. I don't know how accurate the ratings are of these orifices, but it's definitely causing my pressure washer to trip. Let me see the volts. Let me check the amps actually. There we go, when I pull. Woo, yeah, way over. I don't know if this is actually a 1.3 orifice or not. So yeah, give me a minute, I'll switch this out and we'll test again. I'm gonna refill the bottle so that we're full again and we'll get going. Okay, so I went ahead and switched over to the 1.4. We're nice and full in the bottle. I'm gonna start this test over with the stopwatch. And here we go. All right, so if we look at this, not draining super fast. Foam production is silly how thick it is. So again, with this nozzle, it's not doing the most dilution. So a lot of it, well, wait, hang on, let me think about this. With this nozzle, we're drawing really slow, which should mean that we're using more water than soap. And if that's the case, this is a crazy, crazy, crazy amount of foam. Like crazy. Look at this. Look at this. Man, look at that. That is crazy. So we're about halfway through now. And again, the foam is just nuts. I'm gonna go ahead and widen out the fan. Yeah, it's still, hope you guys can see this. This is a crazy amount of foam. All right, we're getting lower and it seems like we're getting runnier. We still have a ton of solution in here. So is it just getting clogged? Yeah, I think we're getting clogged, guys. If you look at the bottom of the filter, it's kind of, I think in order to use this thing, you'd have to use an extremely, extremely thin soap, I think. All right, so since we're getting clogged up, I'm gonna go ahead and switch the soap. We need something thinner, right? We can't have that, again, Rogue is not super thick, but apparently it's too thick for this thing. So we're gonna switch over to Quivr Impact Foam. So there you go, Quivr Impact Foam. Again, this is my higher alkaline. It's not crazy alkaline at all. I call it an alkaline soap, but it still sits around 8.5, 9 or something like that. So great to help start breaking stuff down. You still have to do contact washes. It's not a spot-free, touch-free solution, but a great way to start breaking stuff down a bit more. You can see the viscosity on this one. It's nice and runny, so we should be good there. Let's go ahead and swap it out. All right, guys, so we got it all swapped out. As you can see, this is nice and runny. So we're gonna go ahead and plop it back in here. I also cleaned out the whole straw, so we're not gonna have that issue anymore. I am not, I'm not gonna go back to the 0.3 pickup. I'm assuming it would have gone longer. I think it just got clogged at the end. But this will give us a good idea to see how long this one runs. So back to it, we're gonna go swap back to the timer. Let me go and stop this one, reset it, and here we go. Again, foam production is great. Now that we're at a thinner viscosity, you can see it draining much faster. We're already about a half tank. We'll see exactly how long that actually lasts, but I'm not too concerned with that. Let me go back to the timer. All right, guys, we're getting close to the end here. Closer, closer, closer. It's draining pretty quick. We'll see once it starts spitting water. There we go, it's starting to spit, and now we're getting water. I stopped it a little bit late. That was 55 seconds of runtime. Is that enough to get around the car? Yeah, I think it is. Next up, we're swapping to the, what's the next one? I think a 0.4, I think. I'll be back. All right, guys, we got the 0.4 installed now. Good to go. We're gonna time this one. Now, I'm not seeing any difference in foam production. Still getting a great amount of foam. We're already down a little over a third though. But foam production's perfect. I like it. It's blanketing it. You don't have to, if I'm not stacking it up like this, then it sticks to the panel really well. Oh yeah, we're already about a sixth left. So we'll wait till it starts spitting water and I'll let you know. Here we go, water. 40 seconds. So we lost 15 seconds of runtime by switching this out. Now, would this larger one work better for Rogue because it's thicker? I don't know. Again, it looked like the filter was getting clogged, but I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to the largest one that they send now, and then we'll test Rogue in that to see if there's any issues. All right, guys, we have the largest one in there now. This is the 0.5. We're still running Quivr impact foam in here, nice and thin, and we're gonna time this one. Again, I'm assuming because we're opening up that orifice size in the pickup, that this is gonna go even faster. What were we at? We were at 55 seconds, 40 seconds. Let's see what this one's got. Again, foam production doesn't seem to be making any difference. We're all running through the same actual orifice in the unit itself. We're about halfway through already. Still getting nice thick foam, guys. But we're almost to the end here. We're gonna let it see till it goes to water. Here we go, starting to spit a little bit. Boom, water. 30 seconds. So again, the first one, this was a really great test though, because Quivr Rogue is thicker, it took longer to draw through. We're gonna switch over to Quivr Rogue now that I'm using the 0.5 pickup and see if we have any issues there, and we'll test the runtime there as well. This is why I like this one so much, and I didn't like the other ones. Again, they just didn't have enough options. This one gives you all these different orifices for both the pickup and the head of the unit, so you can really dial it in depending on what pressure washer you're using, what soap you're using. So far, I'm really liking this. All right, here comes the test. The 0.5 pickup orifice and Quivr Rogue. Again, a little bit thicker of a soap. So we're gonna test this, see if there's any clogging, any issues going on. Let me get my timer ready. And here we go. Oh, it's drying down way faster than it was before, at least. Is it slower than impact foam? Yeah, it is a little bit, but it's not a huge substantial difference. So again, we're almost out. We're gonna see what it does. We're starting to spit water, and there's water. You can see it? Well, there you go. There's water. So that was 35 seconds. So pretty accurate, actually. About the same as it was with impact foam. So we can assume that if you're using a nice runny soap, really thin soap, that smallest one, the 0.3, should be fine. The 0.35 that it came with is probably the easiest one to go with, especially if it's not too thick of a soap. Let's go ahead and start talking about this thing a little bit more. I want to break this down, show you the pros and cons in my personal opinion, and we'll test and see exactly how much solution this actually does hold. All right, guys, so how much product does this actually hold? What is the capacity? Well, I have just a bottle of water here, and I have one of my little dilution caps. You can get these on my site. They're great though, because if you see the red piece inside, you can spin the cap and it raises and lowers it. You can see it moving down, right? And then you can measure it up. So this would be essentially, if I wanted 1 ounce of product, I have it there. It's not focusing very well for you. I apologize, but it's set at 1 ounce. I can squeeze the bottle. It fills, you could fill it all the way up. And when you release, it drops back down to the 1 ounce and it holds there. So then you know exactly that you have exactly 1 ounce. For our purposes though, to figure out how much this holds, we're gonna go all the way up to the 3 ounce mark. Okay, there's 3 ounces. We're gonna go ahead and fill up the whole thing. Boom, that's 3 ounces of liquid. Now we're gonna go ahead and take it and we're gonna pour it into here. Carefully not to spill any. Well, that's it, we're full. And we have 1 1/4 ounces left. So what is that? Geez, 1 3/4 of an ounce of this. So it's probably, I guess, all the way up, maybe 2 ounces. We'll just call it 2 ounces to be safe. Now again, here's the other bottle that they give you. I'm just gonna pour this one directly into here. And it looks like this one holds a little bit more. So let me see here. We still have the remainder. We still have the 1 1/4. Pour it in a little bit more up to the top, right there. and we're down to half an ounce. So this one's about 2.5 ounces versus the other one's approximately 2 ounces. All right, guys, so final thoughts on this thing. As far as these little dilution or no dilution foam cannons go, this is the best one I've ever used. I really, really like all of its features. I still prefer a normal foam cannon, my personal opinion, because as you can see, this one didn't work with everything unless you change stuff out. This one, you can just adjust your dilutions accordingly and you're good to go. However, because this one has every single little feature, I think once you get this dialed in for what your personal needs are, it's a home, it works really, really well. One thing to note though is the 3D printing on this. As I was screwing the top on and off to change out the different pickup orifice, you could see, I don't know if you could see, but the threading, it's not the best, right? It's 3D printed, so you could wear this down pretty quickly. So my recommendation is get it set to what you like and then utilize the magnetic option and you're never gonna have an issue with it. Overall though, I think it's an awesome little tool. I'm definitely gonna keep this in my arsenal because this one I think is worth having. I really like all the features, gets a ton of foam, I like it. So that is it for today's video, guys. I hope that video helps. Just a cool new item that I wanted to showcase and test out for my own purposes, and I'm happy to share that with you guys. So that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Please make sure to like the video, make sure you subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and we'll see you guys on the next one.